Hi all. On this video, I'm going to summarize the changes which were brought on the Scrum Guide, which is released on November 18, 2020 by Jeff and Ken, who are the creators of the Scrum or the Agile Principles from scrum.org. So yeah, let's have a quick look at the changes which are brought in. Yeah, so if you look at the fundamentals of the very basic Scrum concept, there are not many changes which are brought in. So if you look at the events, the 5 events still remain the same: the sprint, the sprint planning, the daily Scrum, the sprint review, and the sprint retrospective. And also the three artifacts, which are the product backlog, the sprint backlog, and the product increment, also remain the same. However, there is a commitment quotient which has been added or associated with each of these artifacts. So Scrum's artifacts represent work or value. Each artifact contains a commitment to ensure it provides information that enhances transparency and focus, against which the progress can be really measured. So for the product backlog, it is the product goal. For the sprint backlog, it is the sprint goal. And for the increment, it is the definition of done. These commitments exist to reinforce empirism and the Scrum values for the Scrum team and their stakeholders. And when we look at the 5 values of the Scrum, which are the commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage, they also remain the same. The changes or the expectation on these values has not been modified. Now when it comes to the 3 roles which we have on the Scrum teams, we still have the developers, Scrum Master, and the product owner. However, there are subtle differences on the expectations, I should say. The product owner remains accountable for maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of the Scrum team. So leaders must create the conditions for product owners to succeed in this way, and the Scrum Master is accountable for establishing Scrum and for the Scrum team's effectiveness by enabling the team to improve its way of working and technical practices. Developers are committed to creating any aspect of a usable increment each sprint and are to hold each other accountable as professionals. So each artifact correlates to a commitment. The product backlog is a commitment to the product goal. Sprint backlog is a commitment to the sprint goal. The increment is a commitment to the definition of done. So if we overall look at the Scrum Guide 2020, it is comparatively less perspective. The number of pages has been eventually reduced from 17 to 10. So it's easy for the new agile learners to understand. The language has been really simplified. The terminology of certain terms has been changed, like the servant leader is now called the leaders that serve. Just the wording has been changed, and the emphasis is more on the purpose, characteristics, and the outcomes. They talk less about the events, the attributes of the product backlog item, or the sprint cancellation now. So the significant changes which are made on the guide are: roles no longer used as a term, now accountability designations rather than roles. No more development team, now just one team including developers plus product owner and Scrum Master. Now beyond self organizing, we really want the teams to be self managing, and there is an increased emphasis on the Scrum Master role explicitly as a true leader with an explicit overall accountability for the Scrum team's effectiveness. And on the events section, The why quotient is added to the sprint planning along with the questions of the regular what and how which we have, and the daily scrum questions as what you did yesterday, what's the plan for today, and are there any concerns. So those questions are removed. And as I said, the artifact, each artifact has been linked to the commitment, same is mentioned on the slide. So there could be multiple increments during a sprint, which means increments come into being as product backlog items which reach the done. So only done PBI has to be shown in the review. This has been mentioned explicitly, and also the PBI which is not done has to return to the product backlog. And also the sprint review is not a gate to releasing some value. This explicitly debunks the misinterpretation that releasing must be coupled with sprint boundaries. So on this slide I have pasted the 2020 poster for the Scrum framework which has been released. Pretty much the events which we have right now remain the same even on the new guide, but there is a slight emphasis on or a difference or more value or the expectation which is coming out of the events or the artifacts or each role on the Scrum team or the whole Scrum process. And this is the summary of the changes put on one slide between 2017 and 2020. So yeah, so Scrum Guide is celebrating its 25 years, and this is Jeff and Ken. I myself haven't seen them. If you like this video or find the information helpful, do like, share and subscribe for more of this content on the channel. Thank you.